Hey guys, tonight we drift into one of history's quietest triumphs of endurance. Picture Native Americans crafting teepees that held warmth and comfort through winters so deep and biting that modern souls might shiver at the mere whisper of such cold. Before settling in, pause to like the video and subscribe, but only if these stories truly resonate with you. Share in the comments where you are watching from, and what hour marks your evening there. It is always a gentle wonder to sense companions joining from distant corners of the world. Now, soften the lights. Perhaps let a fan murmur its steady hum in the background. Let us ease into this tale together, when thoughts turn to shelters built for winters reaching 30 degrees below zero in the United States. The kind of chill that frosts the breath and stills the air. One might envision heavy fortresses of stone, walls thick as castle ramparts, windows mere slits against the gale, fireplaces vast enough to claim their own space in the hearth. Something akin to a medieval stronghold stripped of its towers. Yet those who truly mastered such realms did not huddle in stone hulks. They dwelled in teepees, graceful forms rising like whispers from the earth. Deceptively simple, yet holding secrets of ingenuity that outshine many structures we raise today. Teepees deserve far more reverence than history often grants. Had Europeans conceived them, symphonies would echo their praise. Canvases would capture their curves in titles like Ode to the Eternal Cone. Schools of architecture would exalt their sacred lines of portable sanctuary. But this wisdom flowed from indigenous hands, and too many chronicles dismiss them with a shrug. A mere tent. A tent. That reduces a marvel of survival to the shadow of its grace. Like naming a starship, a vessel of bold metal and dream. From afar, a teepee gleams with clean minimalism, the sort of form that invites quiet admiration in off-grid rebellious. Every element, though, springs from watchful generations who studied the land's rhythms, noting precisely how winds carved paths, snows layered and fell, temperatures shifted in their silent dance. Not mere guesses, but deep knowing. While Europeans on the plains raised square cabins that snared smoke within, turning homes into hazy prisons, the teepee harmonized with the world around it. It did not resist the wind. It parted it smoothly. It did not cling to snow. It let it drift away like fleeting thoughts on a buffalo's coat. Modern dwellings falter at the first heavy flake, fretting over sagging roofs. The teepee meets such trials with serene indifference. Try again, it seems to say. This is architectural poise, unyielding yet yielding. In quiet reflection, the teepee stands among humanity's finest creations. Portable, insulated, ventilated, warm through the frost's grip, cool beneath summer suns. Simple, to mend, effortless to relocate. Even the cleverest assembled furnishings from distant warehouses fall short of such virtues, their guides cryptic as forgotten scripts. The teepee transcended shelter. It became a vessel of life, attuned to a land that daily sought to encase the unwary in ice. Before a teepee could embrace its role as a haven of steady warmth, it required a frame, not of shadowed bones, but of living strength. Poles, long and true, resilient and straight. The Great Plains offered the ideal source. The lodgepole pine, a tree so suited to this craft that nature itself appears to have crafted it with intent. Consider these poles, tall, slender, light as promises, yet enduring as the seasons. They defy the usual trade-offs of woodcraft. Hauling vast beams across open fields tests the spirit, but lodgepole pines carried their grace without strain. Trees should not possess such flawless lineage. Selecting them demanded care, not chance. No dramatic gestures into the forest, no hasty claims of that one. Knowledge guided the choice, discerning the worthy from the frail. Here, indigenous craft humbles the present age, where many falter at selecting fruit from branch. These builders chose with the precision of measured equations. Prepared poles formed a tripod first, the teepee's steadfast base. No tremor marred it, no trial run of might it hold. Stability anchored it against winds that could scatter herds and humble the plains. From this tripod, remaining poles wove into a deliberate spiral, not for mere beauty, though its elegance captivates. The pattern balanced loads with even grace, guided snow to slip away untouched, formed a lattice resilient to engineering of this caliber graces modern arenas. Yet the teepee achieved it without iron frameworks, without calculations etched in ledgers or councils billing fortunes for wisdom. Rarely noted is their longevity. Lodgepole poles served through years, even decades, journeying with kin from winter camps to summer rivers, across hunts and sacred grounds. Envision walls that endure assembly after assembly, unyielding 2 times, where a dream for those piecing together fleeting homes. In essence, the lodgepole pine transcended timber. It formed the spine of plains dwellings, a gift from the earth itself. Modern edifices might yet glean lessons from such quiet strength. The teepee's conical silhouette appears almost artless, a virtue of its profound design. Effortless poise conceals layers of mastery. One beholds a gentle peak and thinks a fine form. Then winter descends, plunging to -30 degrees, winds howling across the vast plains, as if summoned from ancient voids. That form unfolds its quiet wonders. A cone commands the air. The teepee does not defy the gale. It invites it to flow upward and onward. Dismissed with calm, unlike the rigid squares of settler homes, it yields without surrender. Had those early arrivals set aside pride and truly observed, they might have marveled. So this defeats the freeze. Instead, they raised boxers, chill boxers, smoke-filled boxers leaking warmth into the endless night. The teepee, clad only in poles and pelts, moved with the fluency of studied winds. Its curve repels snow with innate ease. Loads do not accumulate. They glide free, sparing the frame collapse, weaving self-reliance into its very lines. No need to scale heights in the storm's roar, battling drifts in futile toil. The teepee tends to its own vigil. Warmth within rises in soft spirals through the heart, descending along walls in balanced flow. Heating evens out. Corners hold no icy grasp. Drafts find no harbor to pierce the rest. Few dwellings today match such harmony. Stability crowns it all. Storms that shredded fragile cabins met a form that flexed and held, channeling force through poles to the willing earth. Buildings thrive not by conquest, but by alliance with the wild. A truth often lost to haste. In still moments, if the cone had risen in European halls, its legacy would fill museums, inspire festivals, etch holidays in honor of enduring form. Indigenous stewards refined it in silence, for survival's sake alone. And the cone prevailed, with the skeleton rising firm against the whispering winds. Like a tripod of ancient resolve, the time came to cloak it, not in frail weaves or hopeful cloths of settler make, but in buffalo hides, nature's profound armor against the frost, surpassing many wares peddled today at steep cost. These hides earned their place through perfection, not convenience. A buffalo embodies heat's fortress, furred and muscled, a roam of the plains crafted for surviving winters so profound that even the snow seemed inclined to seek milder realms. If a creature could face 30 degrees below zero in the United States, as if it were a mild autumn eve, its hide surely offered the finest embrace for any dwelling. Stitching those hides into unity became an art of quiet mastery. Not a hasty threading of needle through leather in hopeful chance, but a craft honed by patience and the wisdom of countless generations. The hides were first softened with care, shaped to their purpose, then bound with sinew, that resilient thread, supple yet unbreakable, outshining many modern strands in its steadfast grace. Modern sewing notions might falter before such enduring strength, capable of binding forces that humble lesser materials. Once joined, the hides formed a vast single shroud, a mantle of winter vast enough to cloak a chieftain's hall with regal warmth. Draping it over the teepee followed no disorder or whim. A deliberate rhythm guided the hands, aligning seams so winds glided across, rather than piercing through. These subtleties eluded European eyes, who deemed homes must rise from heavy logs, unyielding bricks, and murmured pleas to the skies. Yet indigenous hands wove an aerodynamic sanctuary, insulated against the frost, sealed to the storm's fury, all from hides and inherited knowing. One cherished quality lies in the hide's adaptability, a living response to the season's turn. In the grip of winter, additional layers could enfold the frame for deeper warmth. Come summer's breath, panels rolled upward, inviting breezes to wander within. European settlers, by contrast, endured their cabins in cycles of chill and choking haze, pondering the enigma of elusive comfort. The truth rested in design's quiet wisdom, and here, a reflection unbidden yet earnest. The buffalo hide embodied harmony with the land, not dominion over it. These gifts demanded reverence, wise use, and solemn honor, never endless plunder. The finished teepee stood cloaked so precisely, so thoughtfully, that even the fiercest gales across the plains paused in quiet concession. Well played, they seemed to whisper. If ever you have stood near a buffalo, two truths reveal themselves at once. Its immense presence commands the earth, and its coat arrays it for winter, as if arrayed for eternal vigil against the ice. Buffalo hides offered more than warmth. They held an extraordinary depth of it, a generosity that questions the heft of today's winter garb, priced high yet yielding less. Garments touted as windproof, thermal bastions, Arctic guardians have draped these shoulders. Yet a buffalo in the heart of January appears more at ease than any ventured to the frost-kissed post. Precisely this made the hides the teepee's winter shield. A buffalo roamed its days in the open, unfazed by temperatures that stir human alarm. -30 marked an ordinary dawn for such a wanderer. Dense fur, thick hide, insulation so profound that snow alighted without thaw, attesting to heat held in flawless poise. Not mere nature's work, but a testament to life's quiet prowess. In Bisian, then hides sewn into a grand weatherward canopy, enfolding the home like North America's own mantle of polar refuge. No merchant's flourish of ultralight weave, breathable miracle, or patented innovation marked it. The hide simply pledged, "I shall preserve your warmth. Rest easy." Another grace to cherish. Nothing of the buffalo went to waste. Flesh for sustenance, bones for tools, sinew for binding, fat for lamps, hooves for vessels. Every portion claimed purpose in the circle of provision. Hides underwent tender rites, treated, softened, tanned through knowledge, spanning ages, untold. Where modern hands puzzle over flat-pack shelves from northern workshops, these communities transformed colossal pelts into seamless barriers, winter-ready havens, sealed against the wild. The hides, substance warded wind with unyielding calm. Should you never have faced a great plains gale in winter's thrall? Picture it thus. The wind assaults, not merely stirs, driven by some ancient unrest, seeking every crevice, every flaw. Buffalo hide met it as a sentinel at the threshold, firm and unmoved. No passage. Begone, yet its virtue extended further. The teepee repelled not just chill, but damp's intrusion. Snow cascaded free rather than clinging. Rain gathered in beads and departed. Primitive, some might whisper. Nay, this was environmental craft, refined to in musing. Were buffalo hides sold in today's markets, it would command fortunes. Branded artisan sanctuary, Earth's own thermal veil, vanishing into vaults of those who laud wild realms, yet startle at a crawling leaf. The teepee did not merely employ the hide, it unveiled its deepest art. If the outer hide formed the teepee's sturdy winter garb, the inner lining whispered of concealed mastery, a subtlety often unseen amid the frame's rise. At first gade seems humble, another veil of hide or weave upon the walls. Yet this layer elevated the shelter from worthy refuge to a warmth surpassing cabins hewn by crews of axes and ambition. It forged a double-walled bastion, no haphazard addition, but intent shaped by ancestral fires. The outer hide barred wind, snow, and tempests bent on intrusion. Within, suspended inches apart, the lining birthed an air cushion between mirroring modern barriers, yet free of spun glass, foaming fills, or the shadow of mending costs. As the hot fire kindled, warmth ascended in gentle streams, slipping upward through the gap, cycling in measured grace, not lost to the void or pooled at the peak, but drawn downward along the inner walls, cradling steady comfort throughout. Thus, convection wove its spell, holding winter's bite at bay. The lining tamed smoke as well, a vital grace. Central flames yielded vapors, that rose true, spared from wandering low to haze the air, and summon coughs like echoes from old tales of ailment. Instead, walls channeled it skyward to the smoke hole, where flaps commanded its flight. Air's dance balanced thus. Cool breath entered low, kissed by fire into rise, bearing smoke aloft while cradling heat close. Drafts found no path to scour the earth floor. The lining turned them upward into warmth's embrace. Hides and mats upon the ground gained from this flow, birthing coziness amid the vast. Adaptability crowned its design. Winter called for full descent, sealing heat near. Summer lifted it high for breezes' play. All yielded to nature's cue. No surplus, no strife, merely harmony etched in daily rite. At the teepee's crown rested a feature of understated brilliance, the smoke flaps. To eyes unversed, they drift as ornamental triangles of hide, swaying soft in the breeze. To those who know fire's winter vigil in close quarters, they shine as guardians true. In truth, they form the teepee's breath, its warden of air. Long before thermostats hummed, chimneys rose in brick, or homes dreamed of clever devices, these flaps mastered the inner climb. A modest central blaze, tended with care, summoned smoke that sought the heights. Absent guidance, the space would haze into a steam of ill-kept warmth. Yet flaps ushered it forth, an adjustable vent akin to ancient spires. Twin poles commanded them, widening, narrowing, tilting to wind's whim. Should gales veer, as plains winds oft did with sudden resolve, a swift shift realigned the path. Smoke fled true, fresh currents slipped below, warmth swirled in poised rhythm. Its elegance lay in simplicity profound. No chords, no wheels, no labyrinthine works. Merely poles and the land's whispered ways. A touch, and the teepee's very breath transformed. Meanwhile, European settlers raised square dwellings, with chimneys prone to clogging, filling with smoke, or crumbling beneath snow loads, for they paid little heed to the land's own ways. The smoke flaps held deeper purpose still. Guardians of the inner climb, widen them, and warmth drifts outward, tempering the air in gentler seasons. Draw them close, and heat lingers near, cradled against the frost. In winter's deepest hold, when the world beyond plunged to -30 degrees, a vast and unforgiving chill. Subtle shifts of the flaps preserved comfort within, breathing life without burdening the soul. Positioned at the cone's serene apex, they harnessed the ascent of heated breath, birthing a draft that drew vapors. As directional sentinels, the flaps channeled this flow, purifying the haven while sustaining ease. No lingering haze, no heat squandered, no towering flue rising defiant above the roof. In essence, these flaps elevated the teepee's crown from mere vent to a fluid symphony of earthly command. Simple in form, profound in function, eber a craft so attuned that even now, scholars of stone and beam contemplate it with quiet awe, perhaps a whisper of longing. At the teepee's true core, both in place and in spirit, glowed a modest hearth, steady and contained. Not a wild inferno, nor a spectacle fit for tales of enchantment, but a tended flame offering warmth, soft light, and the means to prepare sustenance. All without shrouding the space in gloom or summoning peril. This central fire served as the silent heart of teepee days, matching the labors of grand European hearths yet free from their creaks and failings. Its precise centering wove no chance into fate. Even warmth spread from it. Smoke rose true, walls held safe distance, should one ever kindle flames, too. Near the flammable, be it drapery, timber wall, or fleeting resolve, the wisdom of this choice reveals itself. The teepee's form guided heat upward in faithful streams, pooling beneath the smoke gap, threading through channels wrought by the inner veil. A humble blaze sufficed amply. No vast pyre demanded to fend off -30 degrees, for the dwelling itself bore the burden of the cold. A gentle fire warmed the depths with surprising grace, a marvel to early European gazers who deemed salvation lay in fires mighty enough to thaw the poles. Yet the teepee chose finesse over fury, a truth today's hearths might yet embrace. This hearth wove many threads into one. Night's glow, it grunted, cooking's embrace, slumbers balm. Vessels hung above its kiss, viands roasted at its side. In need's hour, it dried the sodden, vital where damp garb spelled peril beyond mere discomfort. For all its gifts, the flames stayed bounded. Smoke hole and flaps warded excess. Lining urged air aloft, sparing dwellers the rasp of throat or sting of eye amid charred mist. Yet its deepest harmony sang with the cone's own curve. Rising warmth birthed currents that summoned fresh breath from the base, forging a cycle self-renewing. No flues of metal, no pipes to tend, no ventures onto frozen heights to clear the blocked. Ease marked its care, swift its tune. Thus, comfort and endurance bloomed from mindful craft, not conquest's roar. The hearth did not rule the teepee. It danced within its rhythm. Life within a winter teepee unfolded, not merely warm, but ordered, purposeful, invitingly at ease. Should one dwell in modern chambers, shaped by minds seemingly at odds with human need, the teepee's inner realm shines clearer. No element wandered without intent. No corner bore the discarded. Each held purpose, often twining warmth, kinship, endurance in quiet union. The arrangement flowed from ages of gentle refinement. Beds ringed the edges, where pelts and robes shielded earth from outer bite, birthing a circle of rest that warmed itself and traced soft bounds, granting solitude amid shared expanse, more spacious than many a lone-room dwelling, and spared the toll of hearth disputes with distant lords. At center reigned the fire, the teepee's quiet star, drawing daily rhythms into orbit. There gather souls to cook, converse, shape tools, mend weaves, share tales, or ponder the wind's distant murmur, as if voicing some ancient grievance. The round form fostered gaze and word, a grace open halls strive for yet seldom grasp. Equality graced the space. No chill nook lingered, no shadowed recess, brooded as in timber huts. Convection between lining and hide bathed all in even glow. No soul claimed the draft's unwelcome throne that fate reserved for the least favored in settler homes. Pegs, shafts, cords, suspended gear along the walls with thrift. Implements, garb, parcels, kitchenwares found homes. Even racks for damp burdens hung high, kissed by ascending warmth. The teepee shifted seamless from hall of repose to chamber of craft, from hearth of feast to circle of song. Yet true enchantment lay in bonds it. Nurtured warmth beckoned speech. Curve and VT'd voice, open heart held right. Story, lesson, melody, mirth. While tempests wailed without lack shadowed chorus, within bloomed community alive, where kin not only endured the frost, but wove life through its weave. Among the teepee's quietest triumphs lay not its wind-defying form, nor smoke's deft guidance, nor hide's deep ward. Nay, it turned frozen earth to haven, sparing dwellers the waddle of frost-bound wanderers. The floor wrought its own tapestry of shield, solace, utility, transmuting iced soil to warmth livable at -30 degrees. A subtle wonder indeed. Brush, grass, woven mats formed the base, a veil parting ground from breath. This buffer parleyed with the chill, holding earth's war at bay from tender feet. Laid direct upon soil, it stemmed dumps, silent creep. For winter harbors few woes like bedding turned to sodden weight. Upon this rose hides of beast, buffalo robes, deerskins chief among them. Warmth they granted, softness too, a balm beyond the stark planks of Era's cabins. Even now, furs embrace on morning's cold stirs, luxuries sigh. In teepee, it wed survival to a These layers trapped heat akin to earth's own floors, as fire's glow descended, spreading across the tiers, yielding surprising mildness beneath rest. Surpassing bare soil, it cradled true warmth, fit for lingering while outer realms mimicked barren ice. Flexibility graced it further. Tides of full whim of sky, press of store altered, and hides realigned with ease. Beds swelled or shrank, furs piled deeper against need. Static it stood not, but mirrored the dwelling's fluid grace. Hygiene whispered through its design as well. Snow a mire trailed inward. As aberitos and pelts lifted, shook, cleansed, or warmed by flame. Envision such with settler boards. Ill fortune follows. In full, the floor allied with thermal rites. Hearths rise, hides hold, linings breath, all conspired to guard the hearthbound from wild's tooth. Thus, as gales sought to freeze the plains in endless strife, within souls rested on earth's gentle warmth, cloaked in peace, affirming once more that wise form outshines raw might. One of the teepee's quietest marvels lay not in its steadfast warmth, nor in the graceful release of smoke, nor in its poised embrace of -30 degrees. No. The true revelation unfolded in its profound portability, not the fleeting sort proclaimed by modern furnishings, where promises of ease dissolve into regret within moments. The teepee embodied true mobility, effortless to dismantle, swift to gather, simple to transport, rapid to raise anew. In every way, it stood as the graceful opposite of the European cabin, rooted and unyielding. A seasoned family could unweave its form in less than an hour. Poles released from their bindings, hide mantle folded with care, inner veil bundled neat, household treasures wrapped in compact grace. No nails wrestled from wood, no beams groaned against, no rooftops caving in mid. This craft honored a rhythm Europeans often overlooked. People wander herds, shift paths, seasons turn their wheel, sustenance calls from distant grounds. A dwelling must yield to life's flow, not anchor souls to one fixed soil. Once parted, the teepee's elements journeyed by travois, that humble frame of sled-like poise, drawn first by faithful dogs, later by horses when they graced the plains. The poles themselves oft served as its guiding rails, a testament anew to the design's thrift. No piece idled in ornament. None fell to waste. All bore layered purpose, while settlers felled vast woods to raise timber homes, only to forsake them seasons, hence, in misguided sights, the teepee whispered of deeper harmony. What elevates it, further shines, in reassemblies, swift poetry. That same kin who folded it away by dawn's light could see it rise steadfast by midday's gentle arc. Poles aligned in spiral trust, hides secured in flowing shroud, lining draped soft, hearth kindled to ember glow. Envision shifting your full sanctuary in the span most span wrestling a single crate of joinery, spared the spirit's quiet fray. Mobility wove no indulgence into the fabric of days. It pulsed essential, attuned to hunts, cycles, water's call, earth's yielding bounty. The teepee freed families to trace the land's whisper without forsaking solace. No torn chores twixt hearths, embrace an open trail. No hauling of stubborn timber across endless grass like a wayward charge. Elegance resolved it all. Your home journeyed beside you, in step with your stride. Such freedom deepened communal threads as well. Encampments swelled or parted as seasons decreed, merging in right or hunt, knowing shelter stood ready at need's soft summons. Amid the plain's boundless sweep, this fluidity transcended mere convenience. It simplified endurance itself. Should a dwelling harbor but one ill-sealed portal, a single draught unravels the warmest wards. Now envision that breach amid -30 degrees, winds assailing sidelong, as if harboring ancient grudge. The teepee's entrance met this trial with serene assurance, a mastery modern builders might ponder in twilight hours. Orientation formed the first sentinel. Teepees gazed eastward, turned from the dominant western gales that swept the plains with bearlike resolve. No mere tradition, but Earth's own meteorology. Known long air screens flickered with sweeping gestures and colored tempests. This bearing spared the threshold from fiercest onslaughts, crafting entry as measured passage rather than howling void. The door flap followed, a pelted veil supple yet resolute, lifted, lashed, weighted, doubled, or deepened by season's cue. Unlike rigid planks that braved the blast, it swayed in concert, easing strain upon the frame, barring chill's rude thrust. In winter's sternest squalls, a secondary layer rose behind, birthing a vestibule of air. Trapping frost's breath air, it claimed the heart, thus mirrored modern thresholds, yet sans glowing coils, radiant panis, or pleased to seal the gate. Within, the lining lent its subtle hand, halting short of the arch to guide intruding gusts downward, away from living breath. Any rogue current, slipping the flaps watch, yielded to the flow, woven into convection's calm rather than arctic intrusion. The portal's humble stature sealed the craft. A stoop demanded, true, yet warmth claimed precedence over stride's proud line. Low arch spared vast warmth's flight with each crossing soul. In some, what might weaken became bastion firm, no mere gap in the weave, but barrier forged against winter's AR. In climes where one errant breath could shatter the eve, this threshold held not just cold at bay, but comfort close. Crossing into a winter teepee amid -30 degrees unfolds like a tale's unforeseen turn. Expectation whispers torment, lashes stiff with frost, bones voicing silent protest. Instead, warmth greets true and deep, a solace that might hush early settlers in wordless awe, stirring inward confession of paths mislaid. The teepee wrought no mere bull. It birthed an inner realm of poised climb. Buffalo, mantle without. Linings shield within hearths. Steady pulse, air's measured dance. All conspired to cradle ease so profound that garb fell away. Labors flowed free, slumber claimed without tremor. Suchkamon absent iron stoves. Electric breath, or wood piles vast as hamlets, endures among indigenous crafts, finest echoes. Light bloomed from flame's heart, softened through hide's glow, bathing walls in amber hush, akin to hearthside lamps, yet encompassing the whole. Shadows wove gentle play, fit for tales spun soft, lessons shared, tools shaped, hours lingered, while outer frost claimed its dominion. Gear hung tidy from shafts, lifting burdens from soil, aiding air's free roam along the curve, sustaining convection's grace. No clutter shadowed the space, no press confined it. Intent shaped every breath, not chance's scattered claim, as oft marks chambers of today. Rest claimed the rim, encircled grace, layered deep in pelts and robes, warmer than pads trod central, by virtue of floor and flow entwined. Kin slumbered serene, storms beyond a wolf-pack's distium. Modern eyes might marvel most at its lived warmth, no stark endurance, but full life's weave. Feasts prepared, weaves mended, tools born, songs lifted, stories bridged, young hearts schooled, all seamless amid the gale's faint roar. The winter teepee shielded not from wild alone. It cradled haven, warmth's sphere, and kin's quiet bond, where resilience met winter's utmost trial, yielding not to pause, but to continuance. When European eyes first beheld winter teepees, a familiar hush fell, akin to gazing upon a humble relic, outshining gleaming artifice. Bewilderment, refusal, then reluctant nod. Hitherto, they held true home's demand stout, timber, walls unbreached, slits for light, haze within 2 season, every breath. The teepee murmured dissent, then eclipsed such forms in trials of deepest cold. Consider the settler's common stead, hastily raised, oft blind to local breath, logs gapped wide as sideward doors for wind's delight. Roofs wept, flues choked, floors gripped like ice, gales piped judgment through the grain. Each winter unveiled fresh laments in choice. Beside it, the winter teepee stood serene, aerodynamic in its gentle curve, insulated through profound layers, portable with effortless grace, breathable in measured flows, warm against the frost's deepest reach, structurally supple to the gale's embrace. The teepee did not contend with the wind. It guided it onward. It held no smoke within to haze the night and stir uneasy rest among kin. Vapors rose clean through vents, attuned to the moment's need. Heavy snows fell not to burden it. They slipped away with such quiet ease that even the pull of earth seemed to pause in admiration. Even warmth's spread favored the teepee's wisdom. A single modest flame sufficed to cradle the whole in comfort, sparing fuel's hasty burn. Meanwhile, European settlers heaped logs in mounds akin to earthen forts, merely to lift their homes above the Arctic's sullen chill. Days blurred in felling timber, stacking it high, voices rising in doubt over stores enough, while teepee dwellers tended their gentle fire, and wove the day's quiet rhythms. Then came mobility, a virtue alien to European stone and beam. Once a cabin took root, it wedded the soil eternal. For will or woe, off to the ladder in winter's stern clasp. Should hunts veer paths, waters wander afar, so be it. The house endured fixed, the family met, the cold unmoved. The teepee, by contrast, yielded to hand, journeyed light, rose anew in fresher ground, swifter than a settler might carve a new haft-for blade. What lays bare the divide gleams in each form's dialogue with the wild. Settler homes warred with nature and yielded time and again. The teepee allied with it and flourished deep. In closing, one stood no mere roof. It breathed a system honed for the plain's vast song. The other, a timber cage of lingering sighs. Step back now, and behold the winter teepee's woven whole. The cone's wind-kissing arc, buffalo hides deep ward, inner veils subtle halt. Smoke flaps, poised breath, floor's warm cradle, hearth's steady heart, eastward thresholds, calm resolve, portability's fluid gift. The vision clears. This rose no simple tent. It embodied adaptation's quiet crown, shaped soft through ages of watching, testing, refining under Earth's patient gaze. Architectural knowing, midwifed by the land itself, most dwellings worldwide stumble forth by chance. One raises walls, notes the drip from eaves, tends the flaw, cycles onward till ruin spares the sleeper. Yet the teepee wandered no such shadowed path to splendor. Each part bore intent pure. None squandered, none overreached, none begged fate's mercy at -30 degrees. No errant forge of mishap, this trial met with triumph sure. Its grace sang in unity, profound, form cradled airs, soft rise. Lining nurtured heats, embrace hides wove insulation's shield. Poles granted journey's ease, portal honored wind's true quarter. Rather than bend the wild to human whim, a path to frail frames and settlers' quiet rue, the teepee met nature as kin. It received the plain's offerings and murmured, "This serves us well," sharp against Europe's right of that era, which whispered, "Raise square. Pray it holds. Should it crumble, lift another near, and tread the flaw anew." Meanwhile, the teepee unveiled flow, yielding, thrift long ere such terms, graced halls of learning. The teepee endured too, for it wove no lone shell. It pulsed within life's deeper weave. Mobility it granted, community it bound, seasonal drifts it eased, hunt circles it traced, climbs, shifts it rode, sacred ways it held. No mere nook for night, it freed kin and whole peoples to heed the land's ancient cadence. When winter coiled tight, the teepee met not with defiance. It outwitted the chill's grasp. Even now, minds bent to earth's enduring forms gaze upon it in hushed regard. Few voice the truth aloud, that their finest ward against wild breath stands centuries rooted, wrought sans iron pin or poured stone. Yet the fact lingers plain. The teepee endures among the keenest movable havens ever shaped by hand. In some, the winter teepee spared no bare life. At -30 degrees, it birthed living full, warm-wreathed, resilient-hearted, attuned to landscapes fierce in flaw's rebuke, such as the teepee's quiet splendor, humbled curve, spare frame, brilliance that whispers still across the years. In the far north, winter stirred no gentle footfall. It descended as a vast creature in languid motion, claiming daylight's fleeting breaths until the sun grazed but the horizon's edge. For Viking kin scattered through Norway's fjords, Denmark's shores, Iceland's stark reaches, these shadowed weeks transcended mere trial. They tested the soul's quiet steel. Harvest lay gathered long hence. Seas turned treacherous veils. The world beyond longhouse walls froze in timeless hush. Amid this veil rose Yule, the sacred tide, born not alone for revelry, but to cradle spirit through the void. As the longest night drew nigh, folk marked its shadow with mingled awe and resolve. The sun slipped not from sight in idle play. It waned, beset by unseen tides that hungered for its flame. Each dimming day evoked celestial strife, light locked in ancient fray with devouring shades. Vikings, steadfast in earth's ways, held faith, profound and veiled forces steering world's slow wheel. Yule offered hand in that dance, or at least the balm of striving so. Through rite and blaze, feast and offering, tale and chant, they called the light from void's dim brink. Weeks prior, hands turned to readying, meats dried slow, brewed deep, beasts drawn to shelter's fold, the holly spared for spring's seed. The frail met blade in mercy's name, yet one form held deeper call, the boar, sturdy, unyielding, hallowed to Freya. It breathed fertility's vow, strength's root, renewal's promise. All the heart sought, in winter's bone deep hold, to yield a boar at Yule fed nature's endless gyre in symbol sure, an offering to lure the sun toward dawn's rebirth. Within the longhouse, expectation bloomed soft. Pine boughs freshened the great posts, their resin weaving with hearth smoke's veil. Young ears drank yarns of elder frosts. Bold sires long gone, gods warring frostkin to safeguard the green world. The fire's snap claimed heart's throne, spilling not warmth alone, but hope's steady gleam. While flame endured, so did the inward light. There lay Yule's quiet core, in nights where dark seemed boundless sea. Vikings drew close, feasted rich, honored time's soft pivot. They held that even flame's faintest spark, be it ember or soul's hidden glow, could pierce the endless eve, heralding sun's patient, victorious rise. At Yule's true pulse rested right above all, sacred, the boar's offering to Freyr, vain god of fruitfulness, peace's hush, abundance's flow. To Vikings, Freyr stood no distant shade. He pledged the year's yield, summer's golden breath, fields heavy with grain, life's ceaseless quickening. In winter's iron clasp, stores thinning, light's thread frayed, homage to Freyr wove prayer and peril both. The chosen beast, oft a steading's noblest, earned reverence deep. In certain lands, it knew comb and crown of wreath or ribbon, mark of its hallowed part in kin's continuance, no blind spilling of blood. This, solemn pact of breath, 4 breaths return. Ere the blade fell, the boar paced before gathered clan, each palm resting on its coarse hide to voice Yule vow. Oaths of valor, aims for thaw's green days, pledges to mend old rifts when snows relented, spoken amid gods, forebears, blood ties. True, these bonds held iron. To shatter them courted shame, and heaven's turned gaze. Right done, gore gathered in vessel deep, dashed upon carved gods of wood, stones of old power, even brows of those who stood. This BLT sealed mortal thread to divine weave. Flesh then turned to open flame, savor rising, twixt pines green and smoke skirl, filling the hull with balm that hushed the frost beyond. The banquet wove all souls as one, each morsel freighted with Freyr's grace. To share its bounty meant claiming blessing's share, trusting fields to burgeon once more, sun to reclaim its ancient fire. Young hearts were told the boar's essence would race through the shadowed skies, shepherding the light's return to earth's waiting embrace. Thus, the offering transcended mere rite. It forged a pact profound, a vow that Vikings would meet winter's veil with steadfast heart, and in turn beseeched the divine forespring's generous yield. If the boar's yielding formed Yule's sacred pulse, mead flowed as its golden vein. In Viking minds, mead bore no common draught. It graced from God's own hand, emblem of revelry, invention's sparred kin's unyielding bond. Wrought from honey's hoard, water's pure kiss. Oft laced with herb's whisper or berry's blush, it held the year's captured sun, distilled to liquid hearthglow. No hour suited its release like winter's frozen core. Within the longhouse, mead poured unbound. Great horns, etched with serpent coils and rune whispers, passed from palm to palm. Each soul sipped in turn, bound by custom's gentle rein that wove unity deep. None drank solitary. A lifted horn summoned all, at times to hail the high ones, at others to cherish forebears fated, or simply to voice thanks for for seasons endured. Vikings held that shared nectar knit souls close, melting barriers hardship wrought. As central blaze thrummed alive, the hall stirred to breath. Shadows wove along oaken beams, flickering as gathered shades from realms unseen. Mead-freed voices, long held, soften the spirits chilled, turned solemn tribute to joyous tide. Cheeks warmed to flame and bruise embrace. Shieldsmen spun yarns of clashes. Tailees stretched in merry weave. Seafarers boasted gales outrun. Earth-tillers foresaw bounties bold. Mirth swelled as night deepened its cloak. And for precious breaths, winter's weight drifted afar. Yet mead's flow wove no mere revel. It channeled strain's quiet release, a ward of mind against season's leaden sameness. Each draught lent valor. Valor to brave the frost. Valor to greet tomorrow's veil. Valor to dream renewal's dawn. Even skalds, first-weavers, and lore-keepers drew from mead's well, deeming it Odin's gift to unlock thought's hidden halls. Excess graced the night, yet chaos held no throne. A chosen steward, Hull's quiet guide, watched the horns circle, guarding toasts in honor's light, ensuring drink mended rather than rent the weave. Beneath such care, Yule's mead tides became endurance's song. In fire-kissed longhouse, honey fortified, Vikings pressed against night's dominion, kindling their own steady gleam. As mead freed speech and hearthlight blurred the timber-bird edges, Yule unveiled another pillar deep, the weave of tale. To Vikings, words breathed as living force, molding recall, self, even fate's own thread. This held one of their culture's quietest strengths. No tomes or vaults cradled their past. It lived because voices cherished it. Year upon turning year, skalds, those chosen bearers of verse and decree, claimed the hall with warrior's poise. Sagas dwelled in memory's vault as surely as steel and scabbard, tended with craft, duty, sacred weight. In Yule's press, when gloom clung near and earth seemed adrift, skalds recalled that sires of old met mere fears and held. In truth, they armored the spirit soft. Every folk forged in trial harbors such voices, turning ache to meaning's balm. Taili spanned vast, too, one breath. Thor's hammer thundered 'gainst Titan kin. The next, hush fell for kin lost or seas boldly crossed, stirring heart's deep tide. Young eyes widened, drinking glow like snow in flame's caress. Elders leaned threads familiar stirring, valor mid-frost, blood's true hold, the veil's faint line twixt flesh and eternal. Yet these wove no dust-bound relics, each voicing shifted gentle skald, weaving fresh note for late woes, local valar, or fond jest at one near. Viking's new chronicle bends not rigid, it murmurs, twixt then and now, shaped to breather's quiet call. Tale-weaving in Yule served, deeper still. It bound the folk to vastness beyond self. In winter's barren hour, when lone could fray the will, sagas laced all in myth's grand tapestry. Values held firm, recall endured, hope kindled anew. Cultures rich in spoken lore oft forge resilience. Keen, they shape dread to chronicle, chronicle to pillar strong. Thus, as gales mourned without and drifts heaped the walls, Vikings gathered in words, warm fold, holding true that narrative outgleams night's deepest throne. While Yule bloomed in feast and mirth's full tide, its roots sank spiritual deep. Vikings saw winter no mere span of cold. It loomed cosmic tide, calling heed from mortal and high alike. This vision rings true. In bone's hush, dwell where sun flees near holy, and heaven's burden settles plain. Yule scented on light's quiet strife. Each waning day marked shadow's gain. Frostkin, wild shades, chaos, slow creep. Solstice rites sought to lend sun its fire. Torches, pyres, hearth's glow stood no bare heat. They mirrored sky's lost blaze, earthly calls to celestial kin. Kin drew close in prayer. Provender, draught for high winds, Odin for sight, and ward, Thor for might 'gainst chill's yoke. Freyr for earth's green vow. Viking faith wove earth's need to myth's veil. They hailed powers granting hearth, yield, clans, shield. In wild's stern realm, belief stood no indulgence. Strategy it was, woven tight. Solstice eve hummed with veiled charge. Eyes traced heavens, ears strained for sin. Deeming realms divide thinned in Yule's hush. Some awaited sires, shades, returned. Others traced God's wild ride. Storm host that blessed or chilled by whim of fate. Stand once in northern gale's thrall, and spectral hoofbeats stir true in wind's wild song. Otherworldly it breathes. Solstice past sun's thread strengthened. Slow, mood, turned to dawn's soft lift. Trials, crest Yule, light reclaimed its arc. Offerings, chants, rites, on it not alone. They cradled folk through winter's shadowed soul. Thus Yule wove no bare divine call. Festival of heart's endurance, token that midnight's core, dawn stirred unseen. Beyond offering, verse, sacred weave. Yule cradled simple human bloom, play boon, clan's deepening tie. Vikings oft gleam as frost grim blade bearers, axes high in snow's drift, yet Yule let play dawn. Generosity flow, sentiments stir soft. In longhouse hush postfeast, kin turn to sport. Some keen, grapples fierce, board paths. Like Hinafotov, trials of few for youths meet. Others, merry, laughter's spark in season's need for soul's own thaw. Young chased hearthrune glee. Elders traded barbs fawn. Grins wry upon lined faces. Such lifts unveil Viking steel more than clash's grand lay. Winter claimed not their spark humane. Giffies graced the tide as well. No modern splendors wait. Viking boons held earth's quiet use. Carved wooden figures for young hands, soft mittens woven against the chill. Fresh tools honed, keen ornaments of quiet craft, or charms, simple yet potent for wardship. At times a blade shaped with loving care, or a jewel-wrought fine passed between palms. Yet the heart's intent outweighed the form. Such gifts breathed gratitude, fealty, true, renewal of ties that held the clan through trials. This way of giving rings healthier than our own hurried displays. Vikings sought no dazzle. They mended bonds essential to breath itself. A custom lingered too. The alphablot, where kin set forth sustenance or draft for hearth wights. Elves, landvader, those unseen keepers of stead and soil, whether souls held true hope of spectral feast, or merely voiced thanks in symbols soft. The right wove accord twixt seen world and veiled kin. This notion stirs deep fondness. It reveals Vikings knowing that endurance claims no solitary path, not even for flesh alone. In some, Yule's plays and boons stood no mere diversions light. They sealed the spirit's mortar. They whispered to all that winter's fang might bite. Yet life cradled mirth, jest, fellowship warm. In season's deepest shade, blood ties gleamed as dawn's own ray. Amid Yule's emblems, flame rose sovereign, in form and soul alike. Vikings beheld fire no bare heat's source. Living ward it stood, bulwark 'gainst dark's slow creep through winter's reign. Truth holds, they grasped its deeper call. Any soul by blaze on chill eve knows its balm touches heart as much as frame. It lifts the inward light none else quite mirrors. In Yule halls and whole steadings kindled vast pyres, echoes of sun's promised rise. Torches wended in solemn train, hearths drank logs anew, and in certain reaches a mighty Yule bowl, whole trunk hewn grand, fed the glow through days uncounted. Flame's vigil marked persistence, thread unbroken. Should fire outlast night's throne, so to the folk. This token stirs quiet love. It lifts mere tending of warmth to hope's shared vow. The Yule log bore veils of meaning manifold. Some deemed it sealed 'gainst woe's unbidden tread. Others saw sparks ascending as boons borne to high halls. Kin gathered ash from its close to dust the fields, trusting spring's green, yield thereby. Through time's clear glass, beauty gleams in Lincoln winter's right to harvest's bloom. Vikings bound each breath, shadowed or sunlit, to life's eternal round. Fire traced bounds twixt daily and divine as well. Flames play 'gainst longhouse walls, weaving forms in smoke's soft veil, thinned the curtain 'twixt realms. Sires might draw, wayward shades might pause, gods might gaze from glow unseen on winter's long breath. Wind-lashed, ice's faint crackle, fancy slips, easy to such mystic hush. Firelight shrinks the world, yet swells it vast. In turn, these blazes, hearth soft or bonfire tall, voiced Vikings' answer to gloom. Not yielding, but bold near to challenge. Sun's path they swayed not. Their own gleam they wrought. In this lies heart's quiet steel. When shadows lengthen, flame we raise and choose to hold. While you'll brimmed warmth and mirth within timbered peace, outer realms whispered wilder truths. Winter eves harbored enigmas, and Vikings sensed mortal weave and other thinned in season's score. Starkest among faiths stood the wild hunt. Storm-host thundering skies, Odin at helm, stand wands amid northern tempests roar. Wind as hoofbeats fury, and its birth rings clear. Paradox it wove, wonder vast, dread, keen, solace, strange entwined. Odin upon Sleipnir's eightfold stride, flanked by Einharger fallen shades, unrested, mythic kin at times. Sight of it, peril held. Sleight of it, folly bred. Folk bided within, murmurs to heaven, praying the wild throng pass, unclaimed. This tenet fascinates, mirroring how Vikings read the wild's tongue. Storms breathed no idle gale. Messages, cautions, heaven's stark display. Wild hunt claimed no lone spectral weave. Many held sire's essences returned, drawn to hearth's call. Offerings set in honor, steading spared provender ale, or seat literal or token. Such acts knit, living breath to faded line. Token that self spans beyond one lifespan. Certain homes tended housewights, Desir landvater, deeming homage held stead's quiet grace. Balance graces this vision fond. Shades stood no foes alone. Partners they oft seemed, watch of hearth. Recall, kin's wheel, night's vault, joined myth's own map. Lights uncanny, gales, clouds adrift read his token sure. Aurora's veil, science named now, gleamed to many as Valkyrie's shield gleamed to Frey. No wonder stirs, lacking measures calm. Behold green fires shimmer, shield maidens wheeling heavens, and deem it juiced. In such fight, you'll swelled beyond season's mark. Cosmic lay it breathed, token that winter's hush cradled no lone souls. As winter's clasp eased slow, days stretching to spring's faint promise, Yule's breath lingered soft. For Vikings, right stood no fleeting joy. Creed it was of holding true. This endures its draw across ages. No wealth or yield framed it. Scarcity, steel of heart, craving for gleam mid-gloom wove its frame. Yule's pull deepens in its quiet shift. Faith's new tide through Scandinavia's halls, blended old ways seamless to Christmas bloom. Timing held, feasts rich, flames tall, boons shared, all found Christly home. Yet ancient sense faded not, beneath lay hid, texturing North Europe's winter song. Beauty gleams in such merge, no erasure of yesterday. Fresh veils layered soft, bearing old and emergent self alike. Ponder Yule, log anew. Now sweeter hearthrite fare. Roots trace Viking hearth's feeding trunk, vast two flames days-long vigil. Boar's crown, Freyr's once heart, echoes faint in English medieval board. Gather, draught, tale, bonds renewal, mid-year's shadow core endures unchanged. Flesh still seeks warmth, kin's nearness, when wild chills deep. Such stay reveals Yule's, pulsed with life's own beat. Hope lay its root, known to every folk. Vikings reveled not for ease's gift. For hardship's forge they raised voice. Defiance marks its power. Emotion deep, joy stands not struggles for. Weapon 'gainst it, forged in heart. Today, kindle it, kindron close, yarns by winter blaze. We echo yearning's millennia old, sun's flight, we dread not eternal. Yet dark's push, we meet with flames rise. Therein Yule's echo lingers sure. Festival teaching not bear hold through frost, but weave of meaning, shared, deeply humane. 2 eyes beyond the walls, a medieval castle breathed serene might. Stone ramparts thick and sure, towers piercing heaven, banner noble drifting calm above it all. Yet those who dwelled within those stone veils, above all the sentinels who held their posts, knew the deeper truth. A castle stood no tranquil haven. It simmered as a forge of wars, tension, suspicions, shadow, ceaseless watch. Castle wards bore one of medieval life's quietest burdens. No mere walls they shielded, emblems of command, riches vast, realm's proud heart they guarded. One falter spelled ruin beyond measure. A ward's dawn broke ere sun's first gleam. While kitchens stirred to life, artisans readied their craft. Sentinels already tended gear. Cinched, leather, taut, honed edges keen, stood for muster stern. The constable or sergeant traced the morrow's weave, naming who would tread the yards, who climb ramparts high, who hold gates sternward, who ascend lone towers. Turns of duty wove with care. Stacy spread slumbers drived. Turmoil swift invited lapse. Medieval captains grasped the soul's quiet ways long ere scholars named them. Within the bounds a sentinel shone, ever watchful, ever seen. Each trader, herald, guest, or servant adrift held peril veiled. Even castle's own stirred doubt at times. Eyes sought the odd gate. Nights hushed roam, loiter near forbidden vales. More than one shadowed scheme unraveled by gaze keen that marked the misplaced shadow. Repasts came swift, oft upright, bites stolen mid-stride. Drills wove the days, bows, flight, blades, dance, ranks aligned, alarms met in haste. Relaxation claimed no throne. Readiness alone breathed their days, layered soft from calm to edge. Unlike knights who rode to glory's clash, draped in ballad's gleam, wards served in silence pure. Triumph unseen drew. No hail, fault alone summoned scorn. Yet castles leaned upon these souls more than upon spurred riders bold. They held the peace's thread, watched portals true, sustained vigil through lulls vast, where peril slept yet never died. Their breath balanced rights, steady pulse, iron's hold. Knowledge ever near that, serenity's hush, might shatter swift to blade's song. Should peace claim a front of stone, it rose at gatehouse stern. This form, oft glossed in tales, swift weave, stood fortress's vital throat. Every soul, cart-laden, beast, murmur of tidings past its trial. Gatehouse watch wove fascination deep with nerves, unyielding strain. Castle's sinew became sifting outer world from inner sanctum. No mere arch, this, gauntlet clad in iron's grace. Sentinels graced tiers manifold, eyes through slit and loop, parapet high. Beneath yond murder gaps, voids whence scalding tide, searing grit, or stone's wrath might cascade upon the rash. Hot oil's myth fades true, for cost forbade its flood. Practicality held sway o'er. Spectacles called at earth's kiss, great valves bound in metal deep. Portcullis grim behind, grid of fang to plunge in breath. Winch ward, earn trust, absolute. Ropes yield or levers fall, granted passage. Snared the foe, sealed the hold. Power vast, duty profound rested there. Daily tides at gate surged, keen. Wayfarers neared, queries rose steady. Whence come you? What seeks your step? Carts bared to sight, for steel-concealed writs of leave demanded sharp. Gaze held firm on quiver faint or word astray. Smuggler veiled, spy's shadowed tread, peasant's grudge, thief's sly reach. Peril wore every guise. Such sifting of souls would fray modern temper swift. For wards of old, duty's breath it was. Tension crested when high blood drew near. Trains choked the way, steeds reared wild, thralls scattered, all beneath flawless rein. Slip of tongue slight perceived, Pause to long-courted lash or void. Gatehouse caught first, whisper to war's murmur. Envoys tread, plague's breath. Thrones, sudden storm. Wards learned, woe ere lord's ear stirred. No mere watchers, they castles dawn sins, they wove. For sentinel, gatehouse tested guts, true call, reigns, steel, valor's hush. Castles clasp with outer realm. At times its ward entire. Wall watch wove repetition deep, yet vital to sentinel's breath. Ura upon ura boots. Traced battlements. Stone paths crowning ramparts. Gaze held far and near, simple in seeming, yet eyes keen, nerve steady. Boredom's vast tide demanded soul of flint. This right seemed forged to tempered mind unyielding. Hush too deep, dulled the watch. Stir to swift, oft met earth's cold kiss. Circuit claimed towers cornered start. Weaving perimeter's full arc. Slits scanned true, Merlin's bent o'er to trace land's sweep, roads, woods, edge, fields broad for stir. Lone Shay afar might herald scout for host unseen. Horizon's form demanded reading deep. Sounds faint thread counted keen. Bark afar, smokes, distant plume, torches ghost gleam. Each spoke peril veiled, weathers claimed, no pause. Suns blaze, mists chillbind, sleets lash, rains veil, snows hush, gales that clawed at stone's grip. Medieval heights spared no balm. Stone drank warmth, steps strayed uneven, voids below stirred faint dread in head unturned. Admiration stirs for those who held post sans vision of moat's dark plunge. Body's toil met mind's deeper fray. Endless rounds lulled sense to slumber's edge. Drift, they fought with will alone. Checkpoints rose in many holds. Calls of right to wake the gaze. Sergeant might shatter forth, unheralded, querying sight. Roads folk, village plume, fail, and Myers toil or night's lone watch claimed. You monotony veiled deeper grace. Walls taut lands, pulse, ways flow, skies shift. First they sensed when we've turned wrong. Instinct wove half their craft in era's shadowed fray. Sentinel on round fused rain to inner call, tracing realms where threat gathered mute beyond leaf's veil. Thus walls pulsed castle's life vein, steadfast, watchful, breath's own need. Day's rounds wearied slow. Night's vigil ground soul to stone. Sun fled hill's embrace. Castle yielded to gloom's throne. All shifted deep. Erbit colder keen. Echoes carried far. Shade held blades, promise veiled. Night watch pressed minds, sternest forge. Flesh bends ill to dock's full reign. Yet wards stood flawless bid. Turn spanned 2 to 4 hours' breath. Aim clear, bury weariness. Yet I ne'er strayed. Posts graced walls, spires, gates hold, lanterns, fainter braziers glow near. Light, blessed and cursed equal. Sight it, lent, target it, marked. Many chose Hephaeliah's wedding night instead of flame's wild dance. Sound turned, foe profound. Stone's loose sigh from height, gale's leaf rush, fox's pad in yard afar. Noise bore threat's cloak. Paranoia breathed survival's art in raid's swift age. Slight the strange, doom tayhold. Vigils wane they met, with right tongues bite, circles tread, prayers hush, blades tapped rhythm. Slumber on post stood sin grave beyond count. In certain holds, lapse met shame's public veil. In others, blades swift end, stern it seems. Yet one dozing sentinel might unbar doom's full tide. Night-cloaked spies, treader, sabaturis, shadow deep, foys off, steered neath, moon's pale gaze, seeking posterns unguarded sigh, or wall's dim nook. Wards watched not out of veil alone, but in a heart as well. Greater peril oft brewed from kin turned false. Thralls gold-bribed to yield the latch, plotters murmuring in stairs coiled hush. Internal shadow chilled deeper. Truth be told, outer foe you braced with steel and right. A lie's blade from veil you met unready. Yet fear honed them keen. Senses wedded night's breath, instincts carved fine as rune. Overturns? Gloom turned. No stranger fell. Vast hushfield they learned to tread. Companion, silent, yet alive. Dawn's goal then kissed stone's curve. An etched post held soul felt triumph soft. Night yielded, morn claimed true. In age sands spark or voce afar. Sands eye of glass castles leaned on words veiled craft. Tokens gleam, signals breath. Rites coded weave to name the true from shade. Clever craft this, oft unseen in tale's grand clash. Brute arm men dream of medieval fray, yet wit and hush wove equal thread. Nightward watch phrase named, bound Eve's first rite. Sergeant breathed it low towards ear. Strangers reach afar. Any shadow post soon set, herald swift, or round's own kin. Lord's self at times, voiced it clear or met spear's cross. Bow's keen knock, parley turned to steel's cold query. Even high blood bowed. Two rights even hand. Low ward might bid noble pause. Protocol's quiet law. Yet words stood no lone ward. Flames lift, lantern sway, horns measured call, bridged wall and yard. Single breath heralded patrols home. Twin noted strangers near. Triad woke the storm. Thrift gleamed here. Tickless yet sure in nets weave. Rights unmasked the false as well. Certain spires claimed paths, timed true. Intervals etched deep. Lagged round, stirred alarm's faint bell. Others voiced Carloa, Merlin's gap. Tower applying phrase wed true. Silent swapper blades fell work, thus bared swift. Within bounds, thrall and dweller proved self-like. Token-worn badges gleam, curfew's iron reign. Dark fell, known face might bide till writ or gaze cleared doubt. Caution's depth unveils error's fragile thread. Trust's stray breath might topple hold entire. No clerk's dry right. These words, lifeline they breathed, barring ambushes leap, infiltrators veil, arming wards to query ranks own gleam, deceits and mask wove wars, sly arts, watchword soul bar twixt pieces hush and nights, fell gift. Thus breath held firm, stone's grace spared blood's dark flood. Spires rose no mere crown of tale, nerve knots of sight, they stood. Tower post wove wind's wild kiss, height stern grasp, gaze unending o'er vast hush. Solitude pressed mind's deep forge here. No yard's warm stir, gates fire near breath. Lone you stood, chill's companion, horizon's endless call. For stir, any shade, any breath. Each spire graced land's unique sweep. Highmost loops traced steadings dim, wood's deep cloak, road's faint thread, river's gleam leagues hence. Panorama birthed early sense, smokes bloom afar, dust slow rise, steel's sun-kissed spoke hosts dread. Weight crushed true, first I to mark array ere walls kiss, missed the weave and hold claimed breaths, not turns, to brace. Within, stone drank lights flee, coils tight claimed stare, slits spared sight, and shafts flight, warmth's denial deep. Turns by brazier's faint glow, thawed numb grasp, warding frost's thief bite, chill rivaled siege's iron hail. Bomb stood no right. Archers crowned the posts, stern call. Bows formed first strike from height. Shafts rained air, foot met gate. Yet craft demanded keen, height warped winds sigh, slant, span. Faults built shaft to waste. Siege prized arrow as loaf's crumb. Spire speech wove vital thread, horn's breath, cries reach, lantern's pulse bore, sight afar. Travail's shade, voice it, trains slow near. Voice it, hamlet's odd stir. Cry clear, tower eyes read earth as scroll alive. Solitude veiled pride's quiet flame, heights neared gale, sky's whim, peril's first sigh. Spire wards formed castle's gaze, sands them all ward crumble it. Tonight should spires claim I's throne, Mardagap's bared fangs. Grim smile, small voids, plain guise, death's sure breath. Wrought in gates of vault, passages coil. Throats tight bind. They loosed wild on foe, snared below. Architects wove no mere stone here. War's mines, with fancy keen they stood, murder gap oft squared all round pierced Pasidi's roof. Foe breached outer ward or a splintered leaf, surged in triumph's roar, deeming first hold won. Then throats straight claimed them, packed as throng. Sudden scold of grit, stones hail, tides boil, limes fierce bite. Hot sands art sleeps, deep in tale, crept twixt plates. Join, clung to sweats, salt, burned 10 days, long. No chance bore these voids. Designers forged death's pocket, bottles trap for rash fly. Gates maw, woosted all, slits loosed shaft, gaps spilled flood, ledges spilled weight, unseen form, sangwise, straight to choke, tall for skyward bite, coil to fray the charge. False floors echoed call, woods plain leaf, yanked to pits yon, others hid neath straws, hush, soil's veil, tiles fair geis, aim not air, death alone, sunda, linger, maze. The rush, fancy a hall's blind surge, heart's wild beat, earth's kiss, fled sudden, wild, shaming, sure, in halt. Psyche's craft gleams fond here. Seasoned arm paused at inner veil's hush, upward glance, shafts floor-tap walls, close, tread-shunned ghost-trap. Dread alone slowed storm's rush, granting breaths, dear coin, gaps and false yielded no bare gore. War's poem, keen, castle breathed weapons form, handful held score or host at bay. Man scarce, sieges grind, stern, edge, spelled hold or void. Fair play claimed no medieval throne. Point exact it was, while walls and spires warded host without. Many lords dreaded slyer shade within. Perils from the heart's own weave. A castle breathed small world's bustling tide. Thralls in quiet toil cooks, bent to flame smiths hammering glow cleaners. Tracing stones hush knights in mails gleam nobles, come from afar minstrels with lutes, soft call priests in robes. Solemn full traders with wares laden heralds bearing writ stable lads amid straws sent captives in chains. Cold hold, thus, truth loomed stern. One soul within, bent on ruin, found paths without end. Internal shadow chilled deeper than siege's iron roar beyond the gate. Sentinels trained gaze not to wood's edge alone, but hall's veiled stir as well. Thrall lingering where steps strayed forbidden. Scribes sudden eye on watches turn. Traders query to keen, too probing. Even sworn kin might yield to rival gold. Medieval thrones game made court whispers seem child's play soft. Thus inner rounds matched outers steel. Pantries scanned for hand unbeaten locks proved firm. Stables traced for shadow. Wells and board spared poison's silent kiss. Tasters served certain lords, a post of quiet dread beyond most. Dungeons delved deep in stone's embrace hell, thrall or foe. Wards barred tools sly pass, gold's tempting flow. Thralls pitying aid to flight. Loose stone or blade, concealed spelled holds swift fall. Thralls wove risk with need profound. Keys to chamber, lord's own veil. They held loyalty graced many, yet want, dread reacher call might sway the heart. This thread of medieval breath gleams least in romance's glow, yet claims deepest heed, holds endured by hundreds woven trust. Yet one frayed soul rent all. Words, ward matched arm steel keen. Sentinels reigned who neared council's hush, handled scroll or leaf, drew to lord in rest's calm hour. Idle murmur might birth revol if ear astray caught wind. In a watch, lacked glory's shine. No clash of epic lay, no final stand-in ballads verse vigil ceaseless. Doubt's soft veil alone, yet sans it, stone's grays crumbled oft. Deadlist shade claimed no tower's reach. Smile warm. Coin slipped. Moment ripe sufficed. Truth unsettles. Deepest here, for all stones rise, blades, edge, rites, steady turn, protocols, firm hand, castle's core beat in sentinel's breath, souls dwelling danger's faint line. Discipline forged their world, instinct honed keen, trust's fragile thread. Human weave oft fades in tale's grand sweep. Walls wrought no shield. Souls did. Stone's might bowed to post-held gaze. Castle life wove strange poise for wards. Endless rounds of mind's numb drift, pierced sudden by terror's raw breath. One dawn, yard's slow pace, gaze lost two fowls, stray or thralls murmur light. Next, horns wail rent air. Shafts whistled wild. Choice's weight spelled breath or void. Such hearts swift turn carve survivors, keen wit's edge ever sharp. Kinship bound them a sea's crew to wave. Trust bloomed in who held calm mid-storm, a keenest in hush, just to fray the strain, soul steady when panic stirred. Bondis softened duty's grind, walls claimed no lone tread. Brothers graced the stone beside. Drills etched their days deep, ranks aligned in right, alarms met swift, paths of flight traced true, arms proved keen. Certain holds wove mock storm's tide, raid's shadow feigned. Others honed calls, weave, horns, breath, flames, pulse, cries, clear reach. Aim rang plain. Chaos kiss spared no pause, no word astray. Sand's voice afar, clarity claimed throne. Beneath rain's hold, dread's undercurrent flowed sought. Assault might wake ere dawn's faint gleam. Mid-revel's warmth, lord of far, board half. Armies claimed no soul peril. Flame's wild leap, sickness breath, dearth's slow grip. Thrown sly, turn, rent hold from within as rams without. Wards dwelt in poised unrest, gaze ever tracing, ear to faint stir, braced for shadow's worst. Yet peril's veil birthed steadiness rare. Families cradled safe, hordes preserved, order's frail gleam upheld for realm's breath. Knights they stood not, heroes of lay, they claimed no crown. Sans them, stone gleamed pretty ruin, awaiting foe's hush. Thus wards tread edge, keen as blade's kiss, held line through day and shadowed eve. Dedication unyielding kept medieval earth firm. Ere sun crested Subura's low roofs, Rome's humble quarters stirred to breath. Leaf shutters side open soft, traders hauled carts o'er, stones worn weave. Yesterday's hearth smoke lingered faint in dawn's cool veil. For plebs, in toil's steady hand, porters bent to load. Laundresses by streams flow, scribes with quills, patient scratch, freed souls seeking place. Market stood no idle grace. Daily bread it yielded, for scant homes claimed no hoardroom deep. This alone unveils Rome's quiet pulse. Breath wove day's keen trade. Bakers claimed dawn's first breath. Ovens side loaves warm, folk pressed near, some tunics yet loose, others clutching bronze's single gleam, fate's coin for morn's fill. Beside rose fruit's soft mound, figs dark and sweet, dates sun-kissed, olives brine deep on board, rough-hewn. No wash graced them, no sheen false. Rome craved no show. Edible it stood, hand-reach swift. Stir built as tide, lads cried, price in lungs full. Cool women bartered fierce as storm's edge soft. Beasts lowed deep, snarled sharp, clucked in rhythms weave by stall's turn. Mid chaos, fingers light and bold slipped purse from belt. Market schooled thief's art beyond guild's dream. Grapes gleam held I one breath, coin's weight fled next. Water burrs wended twixt throng, pails swaying full. Fountains, streetward oft, veiled peril sly. City sprawled vast leads, vain wept, taint lingered sure. Pure draught claimed gamble keen. Wine cheap and thin doth prove safe a draught. Hence many Romans stirred with faint warmth ere noon claimed high. Scents met assault full, cups metal ring. Traders bark, rich, fishes sizzle sharp or nuts roast deep. Charcoals bite in air. Rome hushed, never, stilled no moment. Yet chaos cradled rhythm veiled, known to folk alone. Stall, cherished, cellar trusted, morn's path. Etched for plebs, market breathed, more than boards gain. Tidings flowed, murmur bloomed, packed soft woven, life unfolded in clamors, gentle tide. Mid-million souls, market pulsed hearts steady beat, stirring air sun dreamed rise, should open stalls, claim lungs, full draw. Tabernae formed belly's warm core, narrow veils, smoke-veiled, throng-packed, voice loud as storm's hush. These road-fringed nooks, alleys' hidden breath, scarce held counters span. Jas clay and few, massa sweat-glossed crying o'erheads. Rome birthed hastes, meal ages ere our own. Bowl of wood for rap's gleam, thinned ale for fizz's sharp kiss. Taberna cradled heat's shore gift, plain and satting deep. Lentils, slow stew, link grilled, crisp, olive brine-kissed, fish, gold-fried, chickpeas soft mash, meats remnant wine-bathed, flat loaf, herb-dusted. Plebs claimed scant hearth. At home, no oven's glow, space's dearth, oft flames, true hold denied. Street fare stood no mere delight, survival's threaded wove. Descends taberna's warmth oft mend belly's hollow coal. Scent claimed you first. In hush, charcoal's veil wove with garlic's sharp breath, fish's faint doubt from eve past. Roman board's guard would stir modernize faint dread, yet folk bore guts of iron weave, or feigned so soft. Vinum, cheap and thinned, graced every turn. Clay cups from Amphara's vast hold poured it free. Diluted, ran always. Herb-kissed, or honey-veiled. Pure draught, deemed wild folk's vice. Celts, raw, thirst, Orsat's fall. Still, Posca's bite spoke thrift's edge. Brew held long, or laced with shadows mix. For coin scant, chest warmed deep. Tenements creak forgot in clamor's veil. Who faults such balm? Tabernae breathed social hearts, steady pulse. Laborers weighed coins due worth. Decem in quarreled falls cruel jest. Philosophers ed thought to unbid ear. Messy throng, edge of cleans, faint line. Yet life's breath flowed here true. Packs sealed soft. Clashes bloomed swift. Bonds forged o'er stew's rising steam. Thieves lingered ever near. Shade and press, distracted bite, proved prey soft. Flight lost in crowds' warm flow. Taberna transcended boards, plain gift. Cities beat you, tasted, scented, felt in bone. Rome's swayed realms vast, yet endured one bowl's humble tide. Seek Rome's street breath, heed not marble's gleam. Vendors voiced the city's living song. Prices cried high. Wares hailed bold. Rivals stung sharp. All short of fist's true fall to draw the eye. Lungs alone they wielded, fierce as gale to hush the wing. Each bore craft's quiet weave. Fishmen swore, dawn's kiss fresh. Scent whispering else. Fruit layers raised figs in pyramids' grace. Show claimed coin's sway. Olive-woods offered taste's free gift. Then heart's soft pool to bowl full. Bakers unveiled loaves gold and warm as hoard. Steam's siren's call. Spice weavers spun silks, lie, pepper from Insfar vale. Warehouse near more like price bent to no fixed law. Barter donsed expected right. Seller voiced sky's own sum. Buyer countered earth's low scorn. Play turned theater's breath. Watchers drawn for mirth's soft gain. Young wagered coiner glance, Rome's board by wove no trade plain. Revelet breathed. Vendors claimed ground fierce as kin. New shade to near woke cries sharp edge. At times breads flung hail and fray. Bakery's storm would draw coin fund. Many sprang from chains freed yoke. Province folk seeking empires throng for bread's sure claim. Stalls echoed roots, deep cut Greek honey sweets, Syrian sesame's crunch, Egyptian beans, spice veil. Rome churned wild, yet world's weave graced its veins. One lane held half-sea's salt taste, beneath hue and clamor. Once shadow lingered soft. Day's yield claimed tomorrow's breath. No cushions hold, wages steady gleam. Ailment stilled hands, toil, sky's frown left yon unfed. Rome's splendor rested on Dontudisk's quiet strive. Prayer for olives sail, wines pour, fishes wait. Airlight turned cold, yet strive held cities board aloft. Sans them, million souls faltered swift. Markets wove no trade alone. Lifelines pulse, they breathed. Vendors knit the weave. Cry by, sold cry. Middays press through market, stirred bellies will Ermine's calm voice. Sissel's meat kiss, stew's gold hush, chickpeas, spice drift filled air, thick as veil. God sigh, might sigh, in faint envy. Rome turned on street's warm gift, no kitchen's hearth for most. Grab and flight, they honed age's air trends' new call. Brazier's portage, cooked swift, smokes, curl-kissed, dust-veiled lanes. Fair plain, yet savor deep. Link, grilled in bread's soft hold. Lentils' warm flow. Barley's soft mash. Fish crisp fried. Date honey-clad, stuffed full. Nuts roast glow. Romans craved no finery keen. Belly filled. Death spared. Grace sufficed. Thermopolium's board drew throngs. Warm heart hastes. Ancient counter true. Stone slab held jars deep embed. Coals beneath warm's faithful ward. Point two bubbles soft call. Ladle graced bowls. Wait, such craft claims elders crowned two stoles gleam. Diners hush, cart's wayward breath. Wine followed sure, sour vein, water-themed, herbs faint kiss. Cups coin near, fled the purse. Hence half-city's step held noon-warm sway. Streets stern weave begged such veil soft. Peril shadowed boon as twin. Board knew no rain's firm hand. Oil turned ebon with reuse's toil. Fish dreamed sun's long kiss past reason's call. Skewer held bones lean more than flesh's gift. Roman got forged in forge's quiet fire. Unlucky bent to ache's grip, seasoned shrugged, bowl claimed anew. Charm lay not in savor's lone kiss. Air's living breath it wove. Throng pressed close. Cooks cried orders, sharp weave. Young begged crumbs, faint grace. Minstrels coaxed coin with lute sigh. Cummins earth deep. Coriander's bloom drifted chaos warm fold. Fair knit, all souls as one. Chain held, freed breath, citizen's stride. Far tongues call, beggars hush. Soldiers, mail, traders pack. Life's wild turn, harsh veil of street's gift stood steady. Bomb's soft hold, shared in throng. Daily strive it, graced with savor's tongue. City held by skewers, sizzle, hush. Should forum claim realms thought weave deep, street markets pulsed heart's wild breath. Surrender sends full to their call. Sight, sound, scent assailed as storm soft. Traveller through time begged ears, peace. Breaths clean, veil in moments 5. Noise rose first, as tide. Vendors, price cry rang high. Baker hailed loaves. Dawn warm heart. Fish criers drowned kinskull. Swore auster fresh hall from bucket's shadowed night. Young laughed bright or wept sharp. Asses brayed deep. Hounds bark fierce. Sot's throne murmur. Wild wove sounds vast sea. Modern ways, clamor, hushed beside. Crowds flowed no line straight and true. Water's wild curve they traced. One breath pressed, twixt basket-crowned women tall. Next, legionary clove paths heart, as earth's own air. Romans deeming soldiers step realms claim. Market sweave claims sports crown keen. Carts dodge, olive spilled hush, fowls loose flight. Reflex honed as blades faint edge. Scent layered deep as bomb gone wild astray. Fruit fresh twined rot's faint call. Stew's heat met beast's earth kiss. Sweat's veil laced Syrian incense's bloom. Rome breathed life. Death. Bored. Toil. Dreams bold reach in one breath, held eternal. Strange grace stirs in such wild truth. Steriles gleam they craved not. Mess they held as verity's own face. Chaos birthed theater's breath, pure. Fig prices murmur swelled to lane's full cry. Minstrel unveiled lute. Newborn, tale weaver drew throngs hush for heroes lay. drowned by Amphicart's slow rumble. Breath to breath, fresh stir bloomed soft, yet clamor's veil and press held creatures' living pulse beneath. Folk leaned on wild Zesher gift, board it granted, toil it wove, mirth it spilled, kin it traced. Loud, soiled, wearied, deep, Rome's markets stood. Yet these markets pulsed with life, vibrant and brimming with human energy. To me, they were the ancient world's beating heart, raw and unfiltered, alive in every scent and sound. If Rome's street market were a living creature, then thieves clung to its skin like persistent parasites' cleaver, unyielding, impossible to root out completely. Crime wasn't a mere side effect of market life. It was woven into its very fabric. Thousands pressed clothes, coin purses swinging from tunic's paradise for pickpockets. Roman thieves, in my view, deserved respect for their ingenuity. Their methods could unsettle even the most skilled modern scammers. The youngest thieves were children swift, small, and easily overlooked. They slipped through crowds as gracefully as fish through water. A nudge to the elbow, a sly tug on a sleeve, a staged stumble and suddenly your purse was a few steps away, already lost. Older thieves worked in teams with precision. One distracted with chatter, another blocked your view. A third made off with the prize. Organized chaos. I believe modern con artists might envy such efficiency. Market guards patrolled amid this storm, clubs in hand, eyes sharp and suspicious of anyone too watchful or too casual. Yet Rome's immense sprawl made it impossible to be everywhere at once. Victims often shouted thief, but by the time the crowd stirred, the culprit vanished into labyrinthine alleys and shadowy stairwells. Vendors, too, weren't always innocent. Some rigged scales, hollowed weights, or dampened grain to inflate prices. Fishmongers sprinkled water over stale catches to give a misleading sheen. Fruit sellers hid rotting figs beneath fresh ones. To me, it's a darkly amusing reminder that, in this sprawling city, survival often demanded blurring moral lines. Thieves stole far more than goods. They robbed opportunities. A starving family might lose its meal money in an instant. A laborer's hard-earned wages could vanish before reaching home. Crime wasn't mere nuisance. It brought devastation. Yet, there was a strange acceptance. Romans knew crowded cities bred fierce competition not only for food and work, but for fortune, comfort, and safety. Some fought back. Merchants hired guards. Shoppers hid coins beneath tunics or in sandals. Parents warned children to stay close. But the market was too vast, too wild, too alive for true safety. Perhaps that unpredictability made it irresistible. Every step was a gambler walking away with a basket full or half your coin lost. Danger and necessity danced together in crowded streets. If you dream of ancient Rome, here's a gentle reality check. The city did not smell of marble temples or fresh linen. It smelled of humanity, potent and overwhelming. Nowhere was this clearer than the street markets. Honestly, I think modern imaginations romanticize Rome too much. Drop someone into a real Roman market for 5 minutes and half would faint. The rest flee back to their time machines. The streets themselves tell part of the story. Rome housed hundreds of thousands, yet had no garbage removal, no sewer gratis, no cleaning services. Waste piled in corners. Food scraps rotted beneath foot. Stray animals added their own gifts to the mix. Spilled wine, fish guts, and public urination were commonplace. Smoke rose from countless charcoal fires, swirling into a haze that mingled the delicious and the horrid. Noise reigned, too. People shouted not in anger, but simply to be heard. Vendors hollered prices. Children screamed as they played tag. Carts rattled along cobblestones, dogs barked. Roosters crowed for no apparent reason. Without any noise controls, the market remained a volcanic roar from dawn's first light until dusk's fall. I think Romans must have developed lungs of steel and patience to match. Filth coated the ground runoff, mixing with waste, mud slick beneath sandals. Tunics gathered grime with every step, and no matter how careful you were, you likely stepped into questionable scraps. Public slaves swept the streets, but only when complaints rang loud enough. Otherwise, Rome relied on sun's bleaching, time's slow passage, and weary hope to manage its mess. Yet curiously, people loved the market despotted. Maybe because of its chaos and clutter, those smells and sounds marked life's pulse, not decay. They signified trade moving, fires alight, pots stirring, animals alive. To Romans, discomfort was the price of civilization. From a modern view, it sounds chaotic and unbearable. But for Romans, this was the empire's heartbeat, filthy, loud, crowded, and full of promise. In its cluttered way, the market's grime revealed Rome's grandest paradox. The greatest empire in the world rose from streets steeped in yesterday's fish stew and the burden of donkey dung. Despite the noise, filth, and frenzy, the Roman street market was more than a place to buy figs or haggle over olives. It was the empire's unofficial social web. If a plebeian wished to know who was elected, exiled, divorced, dead, or embarrassed at last night's feast, they didn't read scrolls. They came to the market. I think the market operated better than many Roman institutions ever did. Each morning gossip flowed faster than wine at a banquet. Women gathered near fruit stalls, exchanging whispers of neighbors. Men waiting for bread debated Senate, matters often wildly exaggerated. Retired warriors boasted loudly of battles never fought. Slave traders and tradesmen overheard every word and repeated it twice as loudly. Rome didn't just spread news, it performed it. Politics infiltrated daily chatter, whether welcomed or not. Rival factions argued over grain prices, taxation, campaigns abroad, or scandalous liaisons. Debates sometimes boiled into fistfights, cheered as spontaneous entertainment. I think Romans invented political theater by accident. Many arguments sound much like modern online comment wars. Yet the market was not only about conflict, it was a place where bonds formed. Fishermen sold regularly to tavern keepers. Olive farmers recognized loyal patrons. Freedmen searched for work. Mothers arranged matches and alliances. The market stitched community threads that temples and senates never quite wove. Performers flocked there, too, jugglers, flute players, storytellers, snake tamers, even amateur philosophers, all seeking coin or audience. Children followed, equal parts awestruck and wary. Fame in Rome came not from print or pulp, but from being loud, clever, and standing in the right place at the right time. Then there were the fortune-tellers, reading omens in bird calls or pebble patterns, divining futures for coins. I think they mastered the art of improvisation with a mystical answer ready for any question. In the end, the market was more than food stalls. It was where Romans lived, socialia, theater of human behavior, political arena, rumor mill, and community hall, disguised as chaos. For the average Roman, participation wasn't optional, it was essential. At day's close, the Roman street market meant more than noise, grime, food, gossip, and thieves. It was a survival battleground. Every plebeian weaving through that crowded maze faced a stark truth. Without fighting for your place, you didn't eat. This relentless, daily struggle shaped Roman identity far more than marble monuments ever did. Plebeians lived on razor-thin margins, wages earned by the day, not the week. Each morning dawned with uncertainty. A poor day meant a modest dinner. A missed day meant an empty hearth. The market made this harsh truth tangible. Purchase matched means usually enough for a single meal. Food never came as a given. Eat was earned. Folk learned to stretch their pennies with creative care. Old vegetables sold cheap in the afternoon. Fish sellers slashed prices before closing hours to spare throwing food away. Bakers lowered yesterday's bread for less. Watching Romans navigate these choices feels like staring at the roots of modern paycheck-to-paycheck life. There is an odd comfort in seeing how those from 2 millennia past faced the struggles we still know budgeting hard. Hunting bargains, hoping today's coin holds through tomorrow. The market also laid social inequality bare. Wealthy Romans rarely tread the stalls. Slaves bore their market errands. The poor faced the crowds, bargaining fiercely for every coin. A patrician might never know the smell of sour fruit underfoot, but the plebeian knew it intimately. Their lives hugged the city's ground, In every sense, yet amid hardship, resilience thrived bakers, laughing through fatigue. Widows haggling boldly, fishermen rising before dawn's light, hoping for a worthy catch. Children raced barefoot through the maze, twisting hardship into play. Rome often boasted military might, but to me, its true victory lay in everyday people carving lives amid a city that rarely eased its path. As day waned, the stalls shuttered. Leftovers swept to gutters. Charcoal smoke thinned from the air. Calm embraced the market. Briefly, until dawn's light stirred again the endless sickle to shouting, bargaining, cooking, stealing, surviving. Rome did not run on emperor's edicts or senator's decree. It ran on these daily struggles. In the chaotic heartbeat of its street markets, you still hear the empire's spirit stubborn, hungry, resilient.